On April 30th, 1803, negotiations are completed in Paris for the U.S. purchase of Louisiana from France. But why did France want to sell this vast territory? And which Americans negotiated the deal? U.S. President Thomas Jefferson had originally sought to purchase just New Orleans, but the French, desperate for cash to fight the Napoleonic Wars in Europe, offered the whole Louisiana Territory. The purchase price? Just $15 million. It nearly doubled the size of the United States. Jefferson sent a negotiating delegation to Paris that included U.S. Minister to France Robert Livingston of New York, whom Jefferson knew well as a fellow member of the Committee of Five that had been tasked with writing the Declaration of Independence back in 1776. The other big player in the U.S. delegation was James Monroe, who had served as Minister to France years earlier under President George Washington, and had just finished a stint as governor of Virginia. Monroe, by the way, would become the 5th U.S. president 14 years later. Once France and the U.S. agreed to the purchase, it was then left to President Jefferson and Secretary of State James Madison to convince Congress to ratify and fund the deal. Not surprisingly, Congress jumped at the chance to expand U.S. territory at such a bargain price.
Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1789, George Washington is sworn in as the first U.S. president at Federal Hall in New York City. In 1939, the World's Fair, celebrating the World of Tomorrow, opens in Queens, New York. In 1945, with the Soviet Army closing in, Adolf Hitler kills himself in his underground bunker in Berlin. In 1975, South Vietnam's capital city of Saigon surrenders to communist North Vietnam. In 1993, English computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee releases the source code for the World Wide Web. Also in 1993, #1 ranked tennis player Monica Seles is stabbed by a deranged fan of a rival player. In 2021, Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure reopen after a 412-day closure due to the pandemic. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. In the year 1900, one of the worst mining disasters in U.S. history occurred in which state? California, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, or Utah?
Liked learning about the Louisiana Purchase? Then you'll love this one about an event that happened just a year later, the duel between Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.